And welcome back to Block TV. Yes, it's time for Trader's Take. See what the market is doing, where we might be headed, what kind of futures ahead of us. For that, let's turn directly to the United States East Coast. We're joined by our own technical analyst, the one and only Joe Saz. Joe, how are you?
Excellent, thanks. How are you, Yao?
I'm well. Just wondering with you. And first of all, it was a great week, one can argue, but still a bear market, right?
Correct. Yeah, so I modified my charts to make you happy. If you want me to jump right in,
please do.
I got my. If you see over here, we have our bottom shelf margarita line. We're still in a bear market. This is the margarita that I'm mixing with rubbing alcohol. I'm not convinced of anything just yet.
Joe, I just want to stop you for a second. You're a genius. Okay, now move ahead.
So here we go. This is a little note I threw in here. This is the RSI. This is down here. This is called the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. And as we get closer to the bottom of this dotted line, that means it's oversold, like we were over here in that November crash. And on the top side, overbought. So what we're looking at here is a pretty overbought Bitcoin right now. We had two massive pumps, right? And it's putting us, 70, probably 72 RSI. Slightly overbought, not grossly overbought yet, and I think there is potential if we hit up this way, for grossly overbought, and then a definite turnaround. So right now, my prediction is we're overbought on the RSI. Chinese New Year ended. I'm expecting a pullback, probably down here, a double top, and then a breakdown.
How much? Wait, a breakdown. You're expecting a breakdown down the line.
Yeah, so, to kind of like illustrate it quickly here, I'm expecting a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then a lot more of this.
Because that's what a bear market would do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm expecting a double top because as I went back over the history of Bitcoin, we were talking about Chinese New Year's, and it's very similar action. Here we are, February 6th. We started our market reversal after this terrible low, and we moved all the way into a bullish trend until the end of Chinese New Year. A couple days later, we ended in a reversal hammer, double topped and broke down. So I'm comparing apples to apples here. And we can go back even further, and analyze this, which I did. And I looked at a number of Februaries, and there's a similar pattern there. So I'm not going to ignore that. So I'm expecting something similar. I think the psychology is still similar. There's a lot of hope. This did inspire a lot of buyers to enter the space, whether it was Chinese New Year, gift giving or whatever. But I'm expecting a continued bear trend after another double top around this trend line.
Right. And yeah, wow. Now, moving ahead then, what else?
So 15-minute chart, we're going sideways, nothing to see here. So remember we were discussing shorts to longs. The gap is narrowing here. We're 20K shorts, 25K longs. That Hail Mary pass was caught. Longs have steeply exited the space, nearing 40K down to 25K. So I'm thinking, I'm seeing the continuation of the bear trend. Bear compare here. So this is one thing. All right, I think this is where we are. We are here, RSI. We're looking at this very optimistic looking uptrend, right? So if I'm right, then that means we still have a little bit of ways to go. This ascending triangle could last a little longer, and we might even go a little higher in nearing the bottom of the triangle. But I do think that it looks like, according to the RSI, we're in a similar position here where we go sideways and then bottom out a few weeks from now.
Wow. So
that's Bitcoin in a bag for you. Is there anything you wanted to stop and talk about?
No, just prediction. Let's not ask this till the end. I had a question, but I'm too thrown off by that margarita line. Ethereum. Let's move ahead. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, here we are with Ethereum. I probably should have thrown some notes in here.
It's okay.
This is probably looking like I'm expecting a follow through a little further with some continued downside action, very similar to Bitcoin. So Ethereum is not looking any different. Let's see here. We're at 7 out of a 9 count. Here's a 9. This is an example of a 9 count. Here's a 9 sell if you zoom in here, there's a downward arrow. This was a very nicely acted upon 9 sell. Nicely acted upon 9 sell. It took a while for this 9 buy to manifest, but there we are. And so we're looking at we're 2 days away from a 9 sell if we keep trading above the prior 4th candle. So I'm expecting a possible couple candles that look okay, and then a collapse. So let's look at that 2 days from now.
And
2 days from now, I'm expecting downside action.
Interesting. 2 days from now. Well, just so you know, a side question for you, so to speak. Vitalik Buterin exposing his entire, exposing his holdings. What do you make of it?
That's an interesting play by him. I think that's extremely dangerous in this space. You never want to talk about how much of anything you're holding, because this is the 1800s all over again. You are your own bank, and you are your own security for that bank too. So Vitalik Buterin exposing his holdings, I think, is an interesting move. I wonder, Charlie Lee kind of didn't really do that. He just sold,
Yeah, it's very un-Trump, one can say, in many ways.
Yeah.
But
it could mean that he's trying to say, hey, everyone, my skin's still in the game, and I'm not leaving I'm not leaving you guys behind. But at the same time, I think he's also a deceptive individual too. Peter Todd constantly quotes, I'm quoting Peter Todd here and saying that their wording behind Vitalik Buterin's improvements for EIPs, like Ethereum improvement proposals, are particularly vague, and it's believed to be that that's by design. A lot of this stuff, as you know, is not being implemented. Like they're now a month behind on one of their hard forks. Nearing a month behind. I don't know the exact dates. I think it was January 16th. But yeah, my impression of Vitalik Buterin after listening to people much smarter than me is that he's vague, and I don't like vague. In fact, we could talk about my discussion with Craig Wright when I told him I don't want to have a vague conversation, and he blew up in my face.
Oh, well, Craig Wright, I think, tends to blow up in everybody's face. But that's a very good point. Moving ahead, though, yes, Litecoin.
So yeah, here's Litecoin. Here we are. So this was acting as resistance. Remember, we were discussing that, and we broke above. We closed above this line, which was the bottom of the descending triangle.
Right.
But now we're kind of quickly approaching, beneath it on a 5 of 9 count, which doesn't necessarily mean we have to complete a 9 count, but we're, just over halfway there. So let's see what happens. We're overbought. We're not grossly overbought, 74-ish, 72-ish. I think we're headed down. I just don't see anything other than the Chinese New Year. That was a nice external narrative. We're looking at a bullish crossover over here. I don't think Litecoin's going to separate from, the parity of all the other cryptocurrencies, but there we are for now. Okay. We're looking at a bullish crossover over here, and let's see where that takes us.
Okay.
What kind of confidence that inspires.
XRP.
I switched this to a daily chart so that we can kind of see a little bit more of the narrative. So here we are. XRP is looking, let's see here, huge reversal candle here. Couldn't close above this dotted line resistance, and that's gonna get interesting. I'm really curious to see what the move is, because if we close here and our next candle opens just around this wick, that means that we're going to be starting a red count, and a red count is you want to buy on a red 9. So it does look like there's a possible price flip going on, and we're going to be moving down into a 9 count, potential 9 count. So I'm still look, we're in this channel. Here's support, here's resistance, and we are just not closing above this or below this. So we're in a channel right now with XRP. It looks pretty okay if you're an XRP.
An XRP person. And one last one.
Yeah. And let me just close this. Here we are. Tron, same thing. We're still. So I drew this in. This is where I expect the bearish crossover and price action to take us down a bit further. RSI is looking pretty clean. We're running right in the middle. So there's really nothing outside of the ordinary here, right? It looks like you kind of caught us on a slow day. It's like everyone's kind of taking their deep breaths from this humongous market activity over the past couple weeks. People that were holding on to their bags, they got something to look forward to for a couple weeks there.
It's very true, but slow days happen, as goes life. Let's hope it doesn't slow down even more next week. Joe Saz, thank you so much for joining us once again from the East Coast. Our tech analyst Joe Saz on Traders Take. That was it for us. Of course, do not forget to check us out, BLOCKTV on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram. Send us questions. We do answer, and we'll be right back.